Have you ever noticed something strange about certain people? At first, everything feels easy. They are interested in you. They look for reasons to talk to you. They remember little things you said. They seem comfortable around you. And gradually, you start realizing that they are becoming emotionally invested. Then something changes. The closer you get, the more distant they become. They reply differently. They stop initiating conversations as often. They become harder to read. Sometimes, they disappear for no obvious reason. And the confusing part is that nothing happened. You did not betray them. You did not insult them. You did not suddenly become less interesting. In fact, sometimes the distance begins precisely when the connection starts becoming stronger. So why does this happen? Why would someone pull away from a person they are beginning to care about? The answer is more complicated than simply saying they are afraid of commitment. Because sometimes, the person is not running away from you. They are running away from what caring about you makes them feel. And once you understand that, some confusing behavior starts to make sense. 1. They realize you can actually hurt them. When someone does not care very much, there is very little at stake. If you take 3 hours to reply, they might not think about it. If you cancel plans, they shrug it off. If you lose interest, they move on. But when someone starts genuinely caring, ordinary situations suddenly carry emotional weight. Your silence feels different. Your attention feels different. Even a small change in your behavior can suddenly matter. And this is where some people begin to retreat. They realize that you have become important enough to affect their emotions. That realization can be frightening. Someone might think, without consciously saying it, if I let myself get too attached, this person will have the power to hurt me. So instead of waiting for the possibility of rejection, they create distance before rejection can happen. They leave first. They become less available. First, they emotionally detach. First, it can look like they stopped caring. But sometimes, the uncomfortable truth is that they care enough to become afraid. 2. The relationship starts feeling too real. There is a major difference between enjoying someone's attention and becoming emotionally attached to them. In the beginning, everything is relatively safe. You are talking, you are flirting, you are getting to know each other. There is excitement, but there is still emotional distance. Then suddenly, the person realizes this is no longer casual. They are thinking about you when you are not around. They are looking forward to your messages. They notice when your mood changes. They start imagining what it would be like to have you in their life. And that is the moment when some people become uncomfortable. Because fantasy is safe. Real intimacy is not. When something becomes real, it comes with expectations, vulnerability, responsibility, and the possibility of loss. So the person who was perfectly comfortable when everything was uncertain may suddenly become uncomfortable when the connection starts becoming meaningful. That is why you may see someone become distant immediately after a particularly intimate conversation or emotional moment. The closeness itself may have triggered something inside them. 3. They are afraid of needing you. This one is rarely talked about. Some people are not afraid of loving someone. They are afraid of needing someone. There is a difference. They may be perfectly comfortable being independent. They handle their problems themselves. They do not like asking for help. They are used to controlling their own emotions and depending primarily on themselves. Then you enter their life. Suddenly your presence affects their mood. They miss you. They want to tell you things. They want your opinion. They notice when you are not around. And they realize they are becoming emotionally dependent on your presence. 4. Someone who strongly values independence. That realization can feel like losing control. So they create distance. Not necessarily because they want you gone, but because they want to feel like themselves again. They may reduce communication, become busy, or suddenly need more personal space. From the outside, it looks confusing. From the inside, it may feel like self-protection. 4. They start overthinking everything. When you do not care much about someone, you rarely analyze every interaction. But when you care, your brain becomes extremely attentive. A simple message can suddenly have 10 possible meanings. Why did they reply with only one sentence? Why did they sound different today? Why did they not ask me how my day was? Are they losing interest? Did I say something wrong? Should I message again? Should I wait? This kind of overthinking can become exhausting. And eventually, some people respond by withdrawing. They stop communicating because communication itself has become emotionally stressful. Instead of saying, I am overwhelmed by how much I care, they simply become quiet. Instead of asking for reassurance, they create distance. And this is one reason someone can appear cold immediately after becoming emotionally invested. The feelings did not necessarily disappear. The anxiety surrounding those feelings became too loud. 5. They are afraid that being vulnerable will change how you see them. Caring about someone means eventually revealing parts of yourself that you normally keep hidden. Your insecurities, your fears, your weaknesses, your past, the things you are embarrassed about, the things you pretend do not bother you. And some people have spent years learning how to appear emotionally strong. They know how to be confident. They know how to joke. They know how to keep conversations light. But when someone gets close enough to see behind that image, they become uncomfortable. Because now, there is something to lose. They may start thinking, what if they see the real me and decide I am not worth staying for? So they pull back before they can be fully exposed. They would rather be perceived as distant than risk being perceived as inadequate. 6. Their past taught them that closeness eventually leads to pain. Sometimes, the person you are dealing with is reacting not only to you, but also to what happened before you. Imagine someone who once trusted deeply and was betrayed. Or someone who became emotionally attached and was suddenly abandoned. Or someone who grew up watching relationships become unstable whenever people got too close. That person may genuinely want intimacy. But when intimacy begins to happen, their nervous system may recognize it as danger. Not because you are dangerous, because closeness has previously been connected with pain. So everything can be going perfectly, and then something inside them says, be careful. They start searching for warning signs. They become suspicious of your intentions. They create emotional distance, and sometimes they do not even understand why they are doing it. They simply feel safer when there is a little space between them and the person they are beginning to care about. 7. They are scared of getting more attached than you are. This is another reason people pull away, that many people can recognize. What if I care more than they do? That question can quietly destroy someone's sense of security. Maybe they have noticed that they think about you constantly, while they are unsure how often you think about them. Maybe they are always the one checking in. Maybe they have started imagining a future, but they do not know whether you are imagining the same thing. So they decide to step back. They tell themselves they are protecting their dignity. They stop initiating. They become less available. They wait to see whether you will come toward them. Sometimes this is conscious. Sometimes it is completely unconscious. But underneath the behavior is often a fear of emotional imbalance. Nobody wants to feel like they are standing in the middle of a relationship alone. 8. They begin looking for reasons to leave. This is where things can become especially confusing. When someone starts caring deeply, they may suddenly become more critical. They notice things they previously ignored. Your habits bother them. Your texting style bothers them. Small disagreements suddenly feel significant. You may wonder why someone who seems so interested suddenly has a list of problems with you. Sometimes, they are genuinely discovering incompatibilities. But sometimes, they are unconsciously looking for evidence that leaving is safer. Because if they can convince themselves that you are not right for them, they do not have to confront the more frightening possibility that they actually care. It becomes easier to say, this will never work, than to admit, I am scared of how much this person matters to me. That is emotional self-protection disguised as logic. 9. They test whether you will chase them. Not every form of distancing is healthy. Sometimes, a person pulls away because they want reassurance. They want to know whether you will notice. Will you message them? Will you ask what is wrong? Will you try to get closer? Will you fight for the connection? This can happen when someone has an insecure sense of emotional safety. Instead of directly asking for reassurance, they create a situation where reassurance has to be demonstrated. But there is a problem. This behavior can become a cycle. They withdraw because they want you to come closer. You become confused and give them space. They interpret your space as proof that you do not care, so they withdraw even more. And eventually, two people who actually care about each other can end up becoming strangers simply because neither person feels safe enough to communicate honestly. 10. Sometimes the distance is not fear. Sometimes it is the truth. And this may be the most important point of all. Not everyone who distances themselves is secretly in love with you. Sometimes, people pull away because they are losing interest. Sometimes they realize they do not want the relationship. Sometimes their priorities change. Sometimes they enjoy someone's attention without wanting deeper emotional involvement. And sometimes, distance is simply distance. This matters because romanticizing every withdrawal can keep you trapped in a situation that is not actually going anywhere. The psychology of distancing can explain behavior. It cannot tell you what one specific person feels. That is why you should pay attention not only to the distance, but to the patterns surrounding it. Do they eventually communicate? Do they make an effort to reconnect? Do their actions show that they still value the relationship? Do they become more honest when given emotional safety? Or do they repeatedly disappear, return when convenient, and leave you constantly questioning where you stand? There is a major difference between someone who is temporarily overwhelmed by their feelings and someone who simply does not want to invest. And that difference is usually revealed through consistency. Because caring is not just about feelings, it is about behavior. Here is the paradox. Sometimes, people distance themselves when they start caring because caring creates something they did not have before. Something to lose. Before you mattered. They could walk away without feeling much. But once you matter, walking away becomes emotionally complicated, and that can trigger fear, overthinking, vulnerability, insecurity, or the desire to regain control. So they create space. They become quieter. They pull back. And you are left wondering what you did wrong. But remember this. Someone else's fear of intimacy is not automatically your responsibility to fix. You can offer understanding. You can communicate. You can create emotional safety. But you cannot build a healthy relationship for two people. If someone cares about you but repeatedly runs away every time the connection becomes serious, the important question is no longer simply, why are they distancing themselves? The better question is, can they eventually stay? Because feelings alone are not enough. Someone can care about you deeply and still be incapable of giving you the relationship you deserve. And that may be the hardest truth to accept. The goal is not to chase someone until they stop being afraid. The goal is to find a connection where both people can feel deeply without constantly having to run. Because the healthiest form of love does not make you spend every day wondering whether the person who cares about you is about to disappear. It makes you feel safe enough to stay. And sometimes, that is the real difference between someone who simply has feelings for you and someone who is emotionally ready to build something with you.